gentlemen, a huge, huge round of applause for him. Originating from the bustling streets of New York City and now entrenched into the cosmopolitan realm of Milan, Italy, Stevn seamlessly integrates the vibrancy of both locales into his work. As a creative art director, he has collaborated with esteemed multinationals, shaping communication campaigns and editorials with unparalleled finesse. His accolades include the prestigious North American Starch Award for Best Beauty Campaign. Come on, a huge round of applause to that. And Ace of the Trade Award in New York, reflecting his dedication to pushing boundaries and redefining industry standards. Once again, thank you so much for being here with us today. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause to Stevn Thomas.
Thank you.
Over to you.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. It's wonderful to be back in Mumbai. My name is Stevn Thomas Yankowski. I'm American from New York, and I've traveled the world. And I've been creating brands since 1982, when most of you were still little thoughts in the clouds in the sky before you were born. And I've worked with some of the most important manufacturers around the world in brand development, product development, and then presenting those concepts to the eventual brand owners. So I'm specialized a bit more in the cosmetics world, the hair care world, and the fashion world. And I see that we have a huge also array of food at this fair. But what I wanted to talk about, it was really hard because there's so many things that I wanted to share with everyone, but being that we don't have all day together, I just wanted to kind of give an overview of some of the things that I think are really, really important at this moment in time. And then, of course, also my perspective on the Indian market from abroad and how I see things developing here generally. So one of the first things that I wanted to kind of touch on is I come from a time when it was the major multinational conglomerates that controlled the market. Third-party manufacturing was pretty much non-existent at the time. So all of your manufacturers were already brand owners. They had their worldwide distribution networks, and they had very large diffusion of the information. So when I was young, at the time that this is really beginning to happen now in India, the means of communication were very limited. They were government owned, they were state owned, and the populace had a very limited, very selected means of communication and information and knowledge gathering. Today that is very different, and India is entering into a time when back like in the 50s and 60s in America, when there was the big economic boom, there was, only very selected government-owned brands and multinationals took over the market because the market and the information in the market was controlled. Today, that is very different. Here in India, the new up-and-coming market, your expanding medium market, has a world of information at their fingertips. This world of information is global. And so what does that mean? That means that niche marketing, niche brands are breaking up the industry. The multinational global conglomerates are losing market share. The only way they're able to maintain market share today is by buying out up-and-coming brands that are taking in high market percentages. So they're able to keep up their numbers. So this fracturing of the industry is really changing the playing field. Manufacturers that once worked strictly brand related with their own brands are now finding very lucrative markets in producing for third parties. This has never happened before, but this is a global situation. So the fracturing of niche market that is breaking up the marketplace and the information that the consumer has today, they're able and they're looking for tailor-made concepts, products, brands, ideas, and innovation that fits into their way of seeing life. Now, really what's important here to understand too, as far as manufacturing goes, is now, for the first time than ever before, manufacturers have to think of themselves as third-party brands, not just third-party manufacturers, not just the fact that I produce this type of product, but they're going to have to start, and you're going to have to start marketing yourself as if you were a manufacturing brand. You're going to be thinking of how to get your name out there. Because with the fracturing of the market, with the expansion of niche market, there is a huge explosion in new manufacturing. There are manufacturing plants and manufacturing companies that are opening up every single day, and they are becoming very, very, very specialized. So you're going to have to also begin to identify yourselves within the market so that you can attract your type of clientele. So we're going to, as manufacturers, have to think about advertising campaigns, communication campaigns, social media content information, getting it out there, and letting people know what it is that you are good at, why you're good at it, and who it is that you are interested in manufacturing for. This has never been thought of before. So this is something that I really, really want you to think about. The manufacturing market, a key to success in third-party manufacturing. So brand marketing applied to manufacturers. Now, the increased awareness of your products, what you do, selecting your clients, so client-approved client selection, enhance brand reputation, and increase sales. So I consult with many, many manufacturers. I work with about 60 different labs in Europe right now that are specialized in all kinds of different products. And we are actually putting in-house marketing offices. We're putting social media content youth in the offices, and we are really approaching their manufacturing as if it was a brand name that needs to get their message out into the market with their specialities, their technologies, their innovations, their product content, and what they are contributing to the industry. This is something that I think is really, really, really important today because we have a discerning market. People are very, very, very picky. People are very much more educated, and people are much more discerning. Now, the difference between the big boom that happened in the Western world is, like I said before, information was selective. It was selected. The consumer had a limited limited amount and directed information to them. Today, from 5 years old and up, you can get here in India information from anywhere. Your character, your personality, your style, your taste, your way of seeing life, your way of perceiving your future, your way of thinking of yourself as a professional, as a family person, as everything is being shaped and developed by international input. So right now, you are going through a big, huge economic boom. This economic boom is creating a large, huge plateau of the medium range buyer. So the medium class, the middle class is coming in huge with accessible income, but different from the boom of the Western world where information was limited. Information today is global. These people have information, and believe me, they know what the raw materials are. They know what the ingredients are. They want responsible sourcing. They want transparency in the formulas. They want to know what's going on. That doesn't mean it has to be bio. It doesn't mean it has to be natural, because technology, laboratory science is coming up with biomimetics. They're coming up with biocompatibles. They're coming up with ecosustainables that are not necessarily organic or naturals. It's important, and there's interest in this. So it's important to communicate. So it's understanding the market, understanding that the market today, especially in India, is very, very product savvy, which is very different than the rest of the world when it was experiencing this similar type of economic evolution. So what happens today in manufacturers? Manufacturers really have to think of themselves as a brand. What type of products am I good at? I work with so many different laboratories. For me, they're like kitchens with chefs. A laboratory really, the formulator is like a chef. And you can have the same raw materials put together in different ways in different laboratories and come out with completely different products. It's just like when your grandmother cooks your favorite meal and your wife tries to reproduce it, but it's not the same. And she's using the same materials, but it's not like how grandmother does it. But it's the same with laboratories and formulators. Companies, manufacturers, have to understand what they're good at. You can't be everything to everyone. It's just like I have a lot of people talking to me, oh, right now, in the Asian market, they're doing this and they're doing that. I want to do that also in my company. Why? Why do you want to do that in your company? It's an Asian concept. It's something that's completely foreign to your market. Yes, there's intrigue, there's interest. Maybe some of them are really moving up in the market. But India is so rich in culture, in story, in raw materials, in geographic differences. I mean, this is a gold mine of concepts, raw materials, resources that so many of these tiny little Asian countries would only dream of. And innovation, technology that's happening in India. This is the time to be here. That's why I'm here, because I see that this is the place to be. But not only the place to be for the Indian market, this is the place to be for future global markets. Made in India is going to start really taking off. And I mean that in every sector. I don't mean it only in personal care or hair care or cosmetics, fashion, every sector. And I am visiting plants in India that many companies in the Western world would dream of. I have seen incredible technology, cleanliness, order. I mean, I have seen some amazing factories that would make many of my associates in the other part of the world tremble. This is really the place to be. Now, what is so exciting, though, is the combination, mixing the West with India. One of the things that I'm noticing is many of the products and many of the brands maybe look and seem a little too Indian for international. So also collaborating with international creative people, international brand developers for, yes, maintaining the Indian sense, the Indian style, the Indian tradition, the Indian raw resources and everything that come into creating the storytelling, but with an international flair that opens up international markets. Yes, I am totally for it, because being that I'm working in Italy, made in Italy everywhere does really well. That little piece of country is like number 4 in cosmetic manufacturing and exportation in the world. And because they make it Italy. It's Italy, you know it, you can see it, you can feel it, you can touch it. But still, it's international. It's not like every bottle has the Rome stadium, what is it? Why am I thinking because I'm thinking in Italian. So, perché io vivo in Italia, per cui la mia cervello parlo in italiano. So I'm thinking in Italian. So does it have, the landmarks, Italian landmarks on the packaging? It's not overly Italian looking. It's international looking, but it has that Italian feel. That's the same thing that's going to be happening here. So Indian manufacturers really need to harness the abundance that India has to offer and put it on an international scale and work with people that know international markets to make their products have that overseas appeal. Now, one of the things that I really want to talk about before leaving today is this next wave. So we have this medium class, middle class that is truly expanding, and it's only been 15 years here in India, 15 years. So the first wave, that first 5 years, these young entrepreneurs, this new medium class, middle class, have children that are entering into their teens. But the mass of this movement are young parents that have kids that are now entering to be 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years old. This is one of the most important markets when a global economic evolution is happening, because the first wave of your middle class are still traditionalists. So the first wave, the children are still very traditionally educated and trained under their parents. The second portion of this wave, the children have more information. They're a little bit more detached. The third wave, the children have much more information, but the difference here, the big difference here, are the parents. Because the parents can now give their children what they never had. And they vicariously live through their children. So it is a category that we call tween. 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 The age between 8 years old and 13 years old. The buying power of this market right now, registered, that we know of, tween is over 100 million in India. 100 million young children that are not children anymore. They're in that intermediate phase where they're becoming teenagers. 100 million of them with international information and with parents that want to make sure that they have everything that they never had. To live through their children and see that their children are going to be the next wave of a very, very important, huge market in this Indian marketplace, in this game that we are playing here. So imagine if you tap into this market now. I encourage all manufacturers to tap into this market now. If you all do it together, you will create a wave that will influence an entire generation. And you will have this wave of tweens that become teens, that become college age, that become families, and they will follow you because you were a part of their most informative years. And you will have this market in the palm of your hand for the next 25 years as you grow and evolve with this market. I don't know if you really understand the importance of this message right now and how huge this is at this time in your country and its economical, social, cultural development. This wave is the first true wave of what in the Western world was considered at the time the baby boomers. Because with affluence of the middle class that are now in their 20s and 30s, they're having even more children. But they're working, but even having more children because they can afford it. But they can afford to give them so much. This is going to be so huge. Right now, as it stands, registered 100 million strong. There's room for everybody. Room for everybody. I encourage you to really consider brand development, manufacturing, innovation, clean formulation, traceable traceable ingredients, responsibility, transparency, because what are those parents going to want for their children? They're going to want this. They're going to want to know where the materials come from, why the materials are in the product, what does the product do? Is it for my children? And believe me, if you get them hooked, and if the children love it, you've got them hooked for the next 25 years as your brand develops and grows and evolves, as your manufacturing develops, grows, and evolves, helping these brands make the market happen. So this is something that I really want to really consider. I'd love for everyone to team in, because the more that people adhere to this, the more people that do it, the more manufacturers that push it to their clients, the more brands that push it into the market, the more it generates success for everyone. Because you, as an industry, are educating an entire generation. And this generation is what will create the demand. And the demand is enough for everyone here, and everyone out there. So this is really something that I want you to really think about and consider, the tween market, and its importance at this time of the Indian economical, social evolution. So also, what does this mean? Up until recently, promotions, products where we evidence what is wrong. We evidence the problem and we try to come up with a solution. But that is old marketing. So starting from a negative is old. We need to start from positive. We need to be no longer what's wrong with you, what's wrong with the situation, what doesn't work, and here, try this for a solution. This is old thinking. This is an old way of thinking and creating product and promoting brands. Now, it is all about promotion. It's all about self-loving. It's all about positive energy, positive messages. What is special? What is wonderful? How can you celebrate that? How can you put that into evidence? How can you make people feel good, feel happy when they see your brand, not think of their problems when they see your brand or they see your product, not think about what's wrong, so it's triggering internally and psychologically things that are unpleasant, because that is old form of marketing. It's like a form of brainwashing, making people feel like something is missing or something is wrong, and to be acceptable or to have an acceptable situation, they have to find a solution through your product. But subconsciously, they have negativity towards that product or towards that brand. Now, today, it has to be positive marketing. Solution, yes, but prevention, more. And celebration of what is right and how to make it even more. How to make you feel more special, how to make your home more beautiful, how to do everything in a better way so that it's generating positive energy. So brand recognition and product recognition is from endorphins, and not from depression or not from sense of lack. These are two huge things that we need to consider. So, taking advantage of the natural Indian resources, the culture of India, putting it into modern context, breaking it up into niche markets, because India is becoming ever more niche selective. Marketing your manufacturing companies to these niches. Who am I? What do I make? What am I good at? And who am I going to promote my product and my company to the up-and-coming brands in these niche markets that are taking over the world? Because the multinational conglomerates are in free fall. And the only way they're able to stay up on top up until now is through buyouts. Which is great for the young ones that are coming up, so that they can buy out and start something new. But right now, it is a niche market in a medium class, middle class, with a young teenage market that is going to be huge and influential. So these are the things that I really want you to understand. Think about while you're working, think about while you're brand developing, think about while you're product developing, because in conclusion, I think that India's industry stands on the cusp of an extraordinary ascent. Abundant natural resources, a rich cultural heritage, and cutting-edge manufacturing capabilities, which I am seeing personally, and I'm just blown over, provide a solid foundation for growth. Rapid expansion and purchasing potential unlocked, unprecedented domestic and export potential. I really believe that India's export is going to be huge, based on the culture, the richness of the culture, the raw materials. It's going to be the next wave in really well-being. Well-being in fabrics, in textiles, in cosmetics, in personal care, in food, everything. I think India, not only domestically, but I'm here because I believe it's going to be gigantic on an international level. And it's going to become the next powerhouse, even more so than it is now. Europe, North America, Canada, in the next 2 to 5 years is going to be very rocky. Very, very, very rocky. This next American election is going to be topsy-turvy. America is going to be turned upside down. It is going to lose market shares around the world. It already is. Europe is in the same. It follows like it's like a shadow. It's going to follow. It's going to follow. India is recession-proof. Right now, India is recession-proof. And if anyone's smart, this is where you should be, in India, for the next world power, the next world distribution, manufacturing power is going to be here. It's already beginning. And I want to be a part of it. And I'm glad that I'm here sharing this with you. So remember, the tweens, everyone. This is the next wave. And bring everybody into it. The more of us that tap into this, the more success, the more we're going to generate information, and the more we're going to educate the market, and the more we're going to reap the benefits. So I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you. I'm up at stand 824 if you want to talk a little bit more. Yes, you have a question? One question.
Yeah, sir. A very interesting and very in-depth calculation of market research. Regarding the tween market, as you discussed, and various categories you have discussed regarding the explosion of the market in various categories. Which category you find more important, like housing, food, clothing, hospitality? Which category you find most important in that blooming of the tween market?
Well, I personally find cosmetics are going to be very big because of the raw materials that India has to offer in the cosmetics industry. Personal care, cosmetics, perfume, essential oils, all of these things. That then expand also into home. I think that home is going to be the Indian style. You're already seeing a huge influx in the Western world. My home has so many things from India in it that it's like, I don't know. So I see also home improve, like home decorating, things like that. Textiles, because the rest of the world has become polyester. But polyester, yes, it's very quick and it's very easy, but people want quality fibers and silks and things like that. So I really see textiles as a follow-up to home. And I think unfortunately, India needs to organize a lot better for tourism and for, for travel, tourism, oriented type of things.
Restaurants.
Yes. I think that is going to come afterwards.
Hospitality.
Hospitality, thank you. And I think that food is going to also be a little bit more on the tail end. When I'm speaking internationally, I'm not speaking nationally, of course.
It's the context of international context, not Indian context, whatever you're speaking now.
Yeah, I'm speaking on an international context. So
And the impact of Indian products to the international context.
exactly, like exporting India out into the rest of the world. I think that the cosmetics industry is going to lead. Textiles, and then I think home, and I think textiles and fabrics and things like that, and like food, and also hospitality.
Apparels and you can say the more on a clothing and apparels.
Yeah, but I think more almost like textiles. So like even things for the home curtains, things for the tables, things for the couches, the things that, not necessarily not necessarily garments.
Home decor.
Yes, home decor. These are the things that I find also that are evolving very quickly here because of all of the programs that are dedicated to house and home. And as these, middle class are actually beginning to really buy homes, now we have the highest percentage of Indian homeowners than ever before in the history of this country. And that home is a status symbol for them. And the interior of the home is going to become so important here. So I find that interiors, home decorations, textiles for the homes, also ceramics, things that are, Indian, yes, culture, but with that modern twist. So it shows more of an international, continental flair to it as well. So I see that home is going to do very, very well. Yes.
How AI and cloud will help this manufacturer or marketers for further market? How AI and clouds, importance of AI and clouds is there for them?
I'm sorry, how important is?
Artificial intelligence and cloud working for them. How it will be importance
Well,
of that?
right now, because I work with international companies, and we do mostly everything online. So, we have our online meetings like 3 times a week online. AI is very important. It's amazing how even product texts, international translation, so many things that were very, very difficult with international, because now products need to be translated into 25 different languages. It's incredible. And you can do it now in real time. So I think technology is going to be a big help, and also technology and AI in new raw materials, like biomimetics. Right now, biomimetics are huge. And in the cosmetics industry, this is all AI, it's all technology, it's all laboratory. But not only is it biocompatible, biomimetic, so it's taking from the DNA, transforming it into raw material, biocompatible, biodisponible, and also biosustainable. So I think that AI is going to be a huge, huge contributor to raw materials and everything that we're dealing with now. And India is also leading in this. The Indian pharmaceutical is far, far more advanced than so much of the world. And so in that now, because I was at dinner last night with a very important pharmaceutical company, and how they have been very chemical oriented, and now they're going into biochemicals. So the biology, biochemicals, biosustainable chemicals in medicines for the future, they're saying this is where they're pointing at. And they're a huge, huge multinational conglomerate. So, but that is all thanks to AI. That's all thanks to technology.
Plant-based chemicals for pharmaceuticals.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, so nice of you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Can you suggest some international events in Middle East where we can concentrate on job working and B2B and B2C clients for Middle East, for cosmetic industry?
Yeah, well, this is also a very untapped market. The Middle East is really, I've created 2 brands there recently that are beginning to do very, very well. This is a very untapped market, and what's really interesting is that there are a lot of similarities between Indian and the Middle Eastern pH factors for the skin, the darker skin, the darker complexion, the hair with the heavy melanin content, the climates, you know, the extreme climate conditions, and plus tradition and history. I think all countries that have I'm American, and there was really no tradition, and there was really no history. It was stolen from the originals, you know? And so when I speak of tradition and history and culture, all cultures that have tradition and history respect other cultures with tradition and history. And they love to integrate that as well. So I think that's why the Middle Eastern, the Arabic Union, credible potential for India. Africa is the next frontier as well. Do you know what's happening there? Eastern Africa, Eastern and Northern Africa is exploding. It's behind India, but it's running to catch up. It's running to catch up. It's going to be an unbelievable condition there. And I think that this is also things that Indian manufacturers, right now we have a war between China and India for manufacturing. Okay? This is the time for India to take its place. This is the time for India with its culture. China has an amazing culture, but it was killed through the government control. Do you know what I mean? So it's very government controlled. India has more than ever the freedom to really expand its culture and its capacity to not copycat the rest of the world, but to be leaders, you know, to innovate and to be leaders in the rest of the world. This is the time. All that money that's gone into China, all those processes that have gone into China, do you know how many manufacturers that I work with that are really weaning themselves out of China? And where are they going? India. They're coming here. Yes, some are going to Pakistan, some are going to some of the other countries, but for very selective items. But for your overall manufacturing, from pharmaceuticals to cosmetics to textiles, all of these things are being moved here.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you for so in-depth information on like international level and international demand. My question is that if I am a startup who has global scaling in mind, how do I actually go about quality control in terms of manufacturing, and especially if it's about tweens? I could put anything on my skin and test it, but when it comes to my kids, I want it to be like proved and tested before I even buy it. So how do I actually do quality control in terms of manufacturing when you compare it, if you worked in like EU and Australia and like their quality control and guidelines, if someone has a stamp of TGA,
exactly,
I'll blindly buy it.
Yes. Well, also know that quality control laboratories that Indian manufacturers use are state of the art. I mean, you can have very, very good product certification here. And also you can use international laboratories. Like one of the most famous is Pavia in Italy. Now they do manufacture, they do product testing and product verification for products all over the world. So, I mean, and the EU standards are very, very strict, you know, very, very high. And plus, now manufacturers have to give you dossiers as to the raw materials. You can request that. So you can request dossier that gives you the footprint of that raw material. And if they don't start doing it, they're going to fall behind. They're going to get left behind because they played up until now on the ignorance of the market. But the market is becoming less and less ignorant. And especially the new middle class in India, these ladies, these young mothers are very product savvy. They really, really know what they're talking about. Yes, a lot of it is extremism. A lot of the information is extremism. There's so many ingredients that may show up on certain lists as being yellow, or being something questionable, but because they're taken out of context. You also have to put ingredients into context within a formula, how they work and relate to the other elements within a formula. So what can seem like on its own something that may have a yellow, but within the context of a family of reactive chemicals, they're perfectly harmless and perfectly safe and actually make the product much more performing. So you should be able to request all of this information from your manufacturer. They should be able to give you a dossier and explain, okay, so this shows up on my bio dictionary online as a yellow, be aware ingredient. Please explain its presence within the formula, why it's in there, what its percentage is, and how it reacts within the chemical construction so that I can then educate my consumer on that. These are all things that you should request when you're creating your product and creating your brand from the manufacturer. Just don't take it blind faith, because if they're up to date and if they are working in that same direction, they will be able to give you that information. And they'll have people and technicians within the company that can explain everything so that you can educate your client online with content.
Thank you so much.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I'm up at 8:24 if anyone wants to have a chat. And I have my digital card if anyone wants to connect. And thank you very much. Have a good fair.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, a huge round of applause. Stevn Thomas Yankowski, thank you so much. I must say that was indeed a thought-provoking session. So much to think back, go back home and think back about so many pointers that we need to reflect on. Thank you so much for that impactful session. We have a small token of appreciation requesting Akanksha Rathore from CMPL to please join us on stage and present the same.